for other men. Stephanie, my blog is betterthanwine.net, and I'll have to send it to you. There's a post that I did about entrepreneurship. I think it's called #BossMoves, and I thought of you, and I kept wanting to send it to you, and I didn't. But anyways, my latest book is Stories for the Urban Soul, and it's my first fiction book, you guys. I'm so excited. I wish I had a copy with me, but right now I'm a little bit immobile, and we're going to get into that because it's the topic of what we're going to talk about in our Word of the Day Wednesday. So Stories for the Urban Soul is my first fiction book. It's a compilation of short stories, short novels, which are novellas, and some poetry. But it's depicting these characters. They're all Black, they're into fashion, they love God. So there's this duality of spirituality and African American culture. And it's infused in my writing, and it's been so exciting for me to publish that book and share those stories with you guys. I'm gonna have like a little series happening next month every Friday at 6 p.m. You can tune in IGTV Live, and I'll be covering the characters in more detail. So you'll get to know the characters more, and the recordings will be available on my YouTube page if you happen to miss them. So what you're tuning into right now is Word of the Day Wednesdays. I started this probably about a month or two ago, where it was just on my heart to share with you guys whatever like nuggets or things that I felt like I was being downloaded, that were being downloaded into me by God, or revelations I was having, and just wanting to share and dialogue and kind of dig more into that. But the last few weeks, it's really been piggybacking off my blog posts, which I shared, are now available on my website as well, NicoleDMiller.com. So the latest blog post that just came out, and I try to release my blogs every Monday, is called Unlearning How to Push Through, okay? So I'm going to show you what inspired this blog, you guys. This is what inspired the blog. This would be the boot on my foot and these crutches, which are my new friends. Because I call myself working out. You guys know I love to work out. Call myself working out. Went for a run. Okay, I have been running over 15 years, and this has never happened. But this one particular day, went for a run. Sunny skies, beautiful day. All of a sudden, I just fall out of nowhere. I'm like, what is going on? I'm just out for the count. Well, apparently, I rolled my ankle over a buckeye, and this thing was like huge, so do not be slipping on these buckeyes because they were like so huge if you're in the Midwest. I don't know wherever else they grow. So anyways, I've been out of the game since then, and part of that is my own busybodiness, not slowing down, not taking care of my ankle like I should have. Now I'm in a boot and crutches. So the point is, because of my new situation, I'm not driving. And when I was talking to a friend, and Steph, it was Sophie. I was talking to my friend Sophie. I don't even think we were like talking live. We were texting, and I just told her like, yeah, I can't drive. I got to heal my ankle, da-da-da. And so, Sophie is very community minded. So of course she will roll this way. She's like, why don't you just ask people if they can, drive you to X, Y, and Z places? And honestly, I probably never would have thought about it. And the reason I never would have thought about it is because I was trained to be independent. My background is an only child. I was raised by a single mother. Those strong Black single mothers, for those of you who are familiar, are very independent. And so I know that part of it is like my mom's goal was to make sure, and she always told me, like, if I'm not going to be here, I need to make sure you're going to be okay, right? And so she did everything in her power. Yeah. She did everything in her power to ensure that. And so I developed a mindset that is probably more independent. I don't want to say than most, but I know that it's attributed to a lot of my background and upbringing. So I think having to depend on myself for so many different things, that's become my normal. Now, what I will say is over the years, I've been blessed with such a strong community and so many good people in my life that I feel like I do lean emotionally and relationally on others. I feel like if I'm going through a breakup, or if I had a bad day at work, or if someone hurt my feelings, like I can vent to my people. I can talk to them. I have no problem like sharing those things if I'm struggling with something. But when it comes to like things that I've been trained to do on my own, like, well, I got a car and I got a job and I got a house. Like, I get my groceries, like stuff like that. It's like, why would I ask somebody else to do that for me, But in this space that I'm in, it's a need, right? And so I did this blog post, unlearning how to push through, to kind of process my own experience of the push through. And so with my foot, what I realized is I was pushing through thinking that that was the right response. And unfortunately, it postponed my healing is what it did. Because this particular injury, they said about 6 weeks. Now it's like 6 weeks to 3 months. But it's like, it's 7-8 weeks later and I'm in pain, right? But it's my own fault because I was doing the push through. I didn't know. I just was thinking, I'm going to tough it out, right? So I'm going to do my workouts. Well, I'm just going to wrap it up. And I'm just going to wear better shoes. And I'm not going to do cardio. But I'm still working out. And I'm still putting weight on it, and I'm still on it. And everybody kept saying, well, rest. And for me, that was an off-putting word. Now, I'm all for rest. I take naps every day, okay? I'm team self-care. I value rest. However, I know I'm in a season of movement with my career building. You guys probably see a lot more of me on social media now, and that's because I'm being very intentional with building my brand awareness, connecting, networking, all of those things. And so because I'm in this mode of moving in that way, it's hard for me to receive the word rest. But as I was blogging and writing, one thing that I talk about is how I've learned that I can rest in one area, but I can still be moving in another. And I share my experiences through my blog, especially with my career. Both of my books, all 3 of my books, were birthed out of seasons of rest. My very first book was actually written at work during a lot of downtime. My second one during a layoff period, and my third one during the pandemic. So I know that God works with me, that even if I'm quote unquote resting in one area, I can still be moving in another. And it's just about where my focus is supposed to be directed. So when people are saying rest, I'm confused, like, no, but I'm supposed to be moving, And so I just think my understanding at this point is like, okay, physical rest, yes, like I shouldn't be driving, but I'm writing a lot, you guys. I am writing so much. And like I said, Stories for the Urban Soul is a compilation of short stories depicting these characters, but I have future books that are coming out that are going to have some of those same characters in those books. So I just got my first novel in the hands of my editor. Some of the characters in that novel are in the first 2 chapters of Stories for the Urban Soul, or the first 2 short stories. And then I'm literally working on the next novel that is a spinoff of the first character introduced in Stories for the Urban Soul. So my point is, there's a lot of creativity going on in the season of rest. But not only did I see how there's movement in other areas, I also realized my tendency to depend on myself for these certain things. And it's humbling, right? It's humbling to ask for help, like for me, like maybe not for other people, but for me. And so one of the things that I realized is over the years, I've struggled with interdependency. And my understanding of interdependency is like being community minded, is being relational, is in a healthy way with boundaries depending on others, them depending on you, you depending on them, you guys helping each other to meet a need, because we are wired to need each other. We can go a time without quote unquote, having people, and I've seen it done. I mean, it's been modeled in my family. I've done it. But it's not the healthiest version of ourselves. So it's usually out of brokenness and it's out of wounds. And if you have people in your life who are trustworthy and responsible, ask for help. And so I'm going through this journey, you guys. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm hoping only a few more weeks of me doing the right thing. God only knows. But I know for a fact it's a good reminder to not be so self-reliant. For me, I just looked at it as, okay, God has enabled me to do things. Hi, Ashley. God has enabled me to do things myself, but now I'm realizing I was still defaulting to doing it myself. And being in this space of less mobility has put me in a place of, let me be more self-aware. Am I depending on myself? Am I being too self-reliant? Is there someone I can call in my circle who will do this for me? And it could be easier. Because honestly, there's a lot of things as a single woman, being in the pandemic and, now having this injury that I do have to do myself. And it is hard, like navigating, getting around, getting upstairs, down the stairs, feeding my cat, changing the litter. Like, the house ain't that clean. And there's a reason I'm upstairs is because it'll take everything in me to slide down the stairs and crawl back up the stairs. Like, it's a lot, right? So if someone is available to do X, Y, and Z, why not ask? Why not ask? And so I think God is teaching me, Nicole, there is a time and space where, yes, you will be doing things in and of your own strength per se. I've gifted you to do that. However, that's not always got to be the case. Like, when it can be easy, let it be easy. And I think when you're used to certain things being hard, your mindset is, well, I just got to tough it out. I just got to push through. But as I learned with this injury, pushing through, white knuckling it, whatever you want to call it, can just hinder your healing journey, can hinder the ultimate goal and your process of getting to whatever your goal is. So that's my nugget. I don't know if anyone wants to share, if they resonate with any of that, if they have any similar experiences of being overly dependent, overly self-reliant, if they've come to a healthy space of interdependency, any of those things. But that's what's been stirring in my heart the last week. If you haven't already, excuse me, you can check out my blog, betterthanwine.net. It's also available on my website, NicoleDMiller.com. As I mentioned, my book, Stories for the Urban Soul, is available right now. I'm not really mailing copies, but you can get it on Amazon. Thank you guys so much for joining. I so appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next Word of the Day Wednesdays.